Hi everyone, so great to be here as part of the Scottish Summit. I've got a really interesting talk to you about today for programming for accessibility. You can follow me on @Rory Preddy and also hashtag Scottish Summit 2021. Thank you so much to our sponsors for sponsoring this conference, and let's get started. So a little bit about me, my background. I have achondroplasia, dwarfism, and as part of my midlife crisis, I bought a 335i BMW. And you can see there on those pedals, I bolted on the car pedals to enable me to drive it though. This really is the start of my journey in accessibility, because I always considered accessibility to be a bolt-on. You can see here, I also made a plan. This is me lecturing at a university, and here's me getting some coffee. And it really, you try your best to get along. But the problem with that, and a lot of the people who are experiencing accessibility and systems that cater for accessibility, is a mythical creature called the Hydra. If you don't know the Hydra, it's a multi-headed creature that when you chop one head off, then another one grows exactly where it was chopped off. And those of you who do software development will know exactly what this is, because this is the bug Hydra. And it's meant to actually represent the fact is that fix one bug and another one occurs. And it's the same with accessibility. Chop one accessibility issue off and some other issue raises up its head to do that. The reason for this is because we all live in an empathy bubble. And we're just different human beings. You've never been 4 foot 120 centimeters like me. So as a result, you can't live and experience life as that person. So I'm here to show you how to also pop that bubble and be able to experience and design and program for accessibility. So if not, what happens is you don't understand that those 3 steps, they are almost impossible for someone in a wheelchair to be able to use though. And that's really the you can see that ramp there, that's the Hydra rearing its head though. So I have a plan today. One is that we're going to define accessibility and disability. We're going to understand your organization's unique accessibility motivators, what motivates you, stick or carrot. Then we're going to set interim milestones on how to actually incorporate milestones into your agile process. We're going to implement tools, and then we're going to measure, improve, and automate. I've got 15 minutes of slides and a nice 15-minute demo. So first, let's undefine accessibility. At Microsoft, we design it as the design of products, services, and environments so that everyone, including people with disabilities, can fully experience them. So we broaden the scope, and we don't kind of narrow it down and say, okay, cool, let's solve for that person's accessibility. We actually say that everyone should be able to do it. And we believe that if you do inclusive product and design with compliance, it leads to higher productivity and innovation, and I'll show you how you do that. When you get into your mindset of who are the people that are using your systems, it leads to really innovation on providing service for your customers. Let's also undefine disability. Disability is not a personal health condition. You go to a doctor and you say, oh, doctor, I'm not feeling too good. He goes, yeah, I think you've got the disability. It only exists when you have a mismatched human interaction. For example, as part of my midlife crisis, I bought one of those BMI scales. I put in my height, 120 centimeters, 4 foot 1. I put in my weight at the time, 65 kilos, and I jumped on it, and it goes, and it goes, you are, and it gave me a name, a terrible name, and I felt so offended. Actually, I decided from that point to actually become an accessibility advocate because I felt disabled at the time. It really hurt me, and to kind of see that the world was going to use AI and exclude me. So that's disability and then accessibility. Let's now look at some design principles. So there are only 4 principles, and these are given to us by the Web Center for Accessibility Guidelines, WCAG, and there's perceivable, operable, understandable, and robust. So perceivable, can you see it? Visually impairment or the silver elderly generation, can you see it, and is it actually usable in sight? Did you know that 1 out of 20 men actually have color blindness? So yeah, perceivable, can you see it? Operable, can you use it? So being able to use your keyboard on your website rather than your mouse, being able to use accessible mobility aids. Understandable, can you understand it? Now, WCAG has broadened the spectrum recently to include autism spectrum and ADHD, because when you have a mouse clicker or pointer that vibrates too much and makes people anxious, that's not understandable. robust, it won't break future technologies. So if you have landscape and then you switch it to portrait and vice versa, it shouldn't break your website. And that's really a responsive design, so it won't break future technologies. So let's go through now on motivators. We're great for time here. So first of all, let's show you the stick. Legislation. The US 21st Century Integrated Digital Experience Act and the Public Sector Bodies Accessibility Regulation 2018 both say that all publicly facing civil websites have to be WCAG 2.1 AA compliant, or they will shut your business down and give you a fine. But this is a little bit harsh. Yeah, Canada went even harsher, $100,000 fine per day. Now, remember GDPR? Remember all of those pop-ups everywhere? Do you agree? Do you agree? Yeah, and we're storing cookies. The same thing is going to happen with legislation with accessibility, but I don't like to actually focus on the stick. It doesn't work because we really want to become our customers, and we want to do the carrot approach and altruism. So best summed up by Bill Gates' quote on quality of life: for most of human history, we've put our innovative capacity in improving the quantity, more. Because we're living longer, our focus is starting to shift towards improving the quality of life. We're becoming more aware of other people, and we're moving awareness of our other people's difficulty, whereas before we were pity, sympathy. Now we're getting to empathy and compassion, and our emotional engagement is increasing. We've also got these persona spectrums. We understand that everyone is different. So there's Claudia, Ashley, and Ron. And Ashley is going to be our use case. There's a 24-year-old art graduate, administrative assistant, severely sight impaired, uses a screen reader. So you take Ashley, and then you start to use your system as Ashley. And you can go to alphagov.github.io/accessibility-personas, and you can kind of become these people. And there's all these nice labs that you can do to experience the person as the persona. So you've got your persona spectrum, and now you start to look at inclusive design. So inclusive design, recognize exclusion. So understand your persona spectrum. Then solve for one, extend to many. So in each of those cases, Ashley actually forms part of a persona spectrum. And you want to not just code for Ashley, but to extend it to as many as possible. Then learn from diversity. Once you have that experience, how do you superimpose it on your journey and learn from that? So let's take another example. Let's define a persona spectrum. This is someone who has limited use of the arm, this persona spectrum, and we have an amputee with one arm, an arm injury, and a new parent. And I know what you're saying, but Rory, a new parent is not actually part of the spectrum, but I promise you, you're creating a newborn in your hand, and you're financially, mentally, physically sleep deprived, really kind of need help there. And if you go to your stakeholders and your manager and you say, I really want to cater for the person with one arm, the US Center for Statistics says that there's only 26,000 out there. You can't, it's not viable, financially viable. But when you also superimpose the temporary, 13 million, and the situational, 8 million, the total's 21 million. We've solved for one, extended to many. Now, when you look at people who have accessibility requirements in the world, there's 1 billion people who have accessibility requirements. When you take friends and family and people who are heavily invested in those individuals, there's more than 3 billion people. That's nearly half the world. And that really makes it financially viable when you look at solve for one, extend to many. So you take that, now let's learn from diversity. Here's a ticketing scenario. You've got registration, navigation, and checkout. And then you take your persona spectrums and you superimpose it, and then everything changes. You're learning from being diverse and using those persona spectrums. You have a responsive site language, capture for registration, single sign-on, callback help, voice search, SMS and email. And then also learn from diversity. We have AI adjustment because it says, did this meet your accessibility requirements? If not, I'm going to change my site landing and all of my screen flow to cater for you. And that really is inclusive design. So we've looked at motivators. Now let's look at milestones. So normally this is a sprint or a scrum kind of flow there. And you can see right at the end of it, accessibility is bolted onto the shipping product. And the Hydra loves that because now it can have so many different heads and it comes out there. And it's a big problem. So once you have your shippable product and the Hydra, it's really difficult to actually do anything agile. So let's look at how you can cater for that. So the first thing is the industry is moving to shift left. And what is shift left? It means normally you would have a very heavy investment right at the end and bolt on, and not only bug fixes, accessibility, and that's your traditional large investment right at the end of it with the release management. Now, I worked for a financial services company where we did release management per season. So winter release, summer release, and if you missed the summer release, then you had to wait for autumn release. But once you do small investment in your testing, coding, design, and backlog, it becomes very much more easier to slay the hydra. You can identify those issues before they become severe issues. If you notice a font that is the incorrect color for color contrast, which is perceivable, then you can go, wait a second, before I carry on with all of the other fonts, let me go fix that problem. And your landscape for your software development changes fundamentally. You can see here, instead of accessibility right at the end with the shippable product, then you have accessibility throughout the entire design process, on your UX research, your UX design, your product backlog, and then on your sprints and your Scrum to be able to process it, you also have accessibility. And that really is the key deliverable when it comes to being able to incorporate this in your product backlog. So we've gone through the milestones. Now let's look at tooling. So let me equip you and enable you to actually do all of the things that I mentioned. Introducing accessibility insights. Now, why am I such a big fan of accessibility insights? Because I use it every single day. At Microsoft, we use this as part of our CI/CD. Now, I'm a developer advocate, and I do a lot of Microsoft Learn and Docs content. And when we push that content, our examples and our content gets checked against accessibility insights, but we have a DevOps process. Now, we took that and we actually open sourced it and gave it to everyone. And you can go and get access all of that on https://accessibilityinsights.io. And in there, you'll have tooling for web, for Windows, for Android, for CI/CD, Azure DevOps, and recently announced the GitHub Actions accessibility insights. So what about if you can't change all of that? So if you can't use accessibility insights, you can't, and you have to bolt on. So we are aware of that, and we've made available the Immersive Reader. So the Immersive Reader is the same immersive experience that you get in Microsoft Teams, OneNote, Word, even Microsoft Edge. And what it does, it puts a little button on your page or your app, and you can zoom out of your app into a completely WCAG 2.1 compliant experience that allows you to have all of the perceivable, operable, robust, and can't remember the last one, but all of that is catered for it. And what it does, it takes your content, and you can see there, and it ingests your content and then creates an immersive experience from there. And it gives you the ability then to use these 4 or 5 key capabilities. Language, it breaks it up. So not only people who are visually impaired, but people who are English language or battling with the English language learners, and also people who are struggling because of neurodiversity. Then it translates into 60 different languages. And you can also mouse over there and you can get the pronunciation for each of the words. It has syllables. And then finally, also, it gives you a picture dictionary for that Immersive Reader. And this is really our go-to. If you want to bolt on something at the end of it and you're not able to change the underlying core development process, then use Immersive Reader. And the last thing I want to show you around tooling is the computer vision. Now, remember that Ashley was failing eyesight. And one of the key things that for accessibility is to create alt images and video captioning. So we have a tool for that, but video captioning, but we also have a really great tool for Azure computer visioning. And what it does is that it narrates an image around you better than a human being. So we entered into the Facebook No Caps Challenge, and it said, wait a second, Microsoft was number 1. So let's go into Chrome, and I will show you there. So let's open up No Caps leaderboard and check who's in the top of the leaderboard. This leaderboard is not only includes humans to evaluate the captioning, but also the Microsoft Cognitive Services, and all of that is available in the computer vision. Now you've got 4 individuals here, and I'll show you why it's so great. 4 individuals. I don't know who that person on the left is, but that's Satya, Bill Gates, and Steve Ballmer, and they seem to be smiling at a joke or something. I'm not too sure around that. They're wearing jerseys and casual attire. But that's not what this Ashley needs. Ashley just needs a very easy to understand verbose description. And Satya Nadella, you can see here, Satya Nadella, Bill Gates, Steve Ballmer posing for a photo. Great. Now you can do 1 million documents for pennies a month, and you can get all of that with artificial intelligence with Azure Computer AI. So enough slides. We've gone for about 15 minutes now on slides. Let's go for a demo. And the first thing I want to show you is accessibility insights, the cornerstone of everything that we're going to test today. Not conclusion. Let's go here. So let's close the leaderboard. So proud of that. No caps. Now I've got the w3.org before and after demonstration. It's got city lights here, and you can see here there's the accessible version, which I'm showing you, and then there's the inaccessible. I click on the inaccessible. It looks exactly the same because some people have done terrible things on there and made it inaccessible. You can see there's no alt image here, it just says image. And there's also, when they look at the BR tags here, sorry, the list item, that's not a list item. That's actually, let's go inspect. Let's go inspect here. Let's go inspect, make it a little bit bigger. There we go. They've gone use BR tags instead of list items, so a screen reader won't be able to read it. Now I want to check this quickly with Immersive Reader. I've got the Chrome plugin running right now. I go to the inaccessible page there, and I click Fastpass. Now Fastpass gives you an instant view of exactly most of your issues on your page. You can also do a full kind of assessment there that goes through full WCAG 2.1 AA compliance there for an assessment. So I click on Fastpass, it goes and scans it, it gives me a report in there. It says color contrast is wrong, alt is wrong, image alt, link names are wrong, and I can export the results there also on the top right hand side. But I want to see a visual helper here. So if I go back to it visually helps me understand that. Now I can go into my alt tags. I can go, wow, image alt is not right. I can click on that success criteria. It'll give me what is going on there and help me understand it. And then I can also go back there. I can copy the failure details. I can fix one of the problems, or I can file the issue straight to GitHub. Wouldn't this be nice if we put this in DevOps? Yes, but you can though. So this entire engine, the DQ Labs engine, you can actually put in to a DevOps toolchain. So I've got my DevOps toolchain running here, and what it is, this is Azure DevOps. It's testing a little page here. So this is a shadow DOM, and it's using a list item here, and the list item actually is inside the DOM. And if I run accessibility insights on it right here with Fastpass, I run Fastpass there. I see that there's an issue here around that, and then I can go in and look at exactly what's the problem. Now I want to chuck that into DevOps, so Azure DevOps. So the first thing I want to do is I want to actually show you my project. Let's go back into Visual Studio Code, the best code editor ever. And then there's my X Core here. So this is a project that Microsoft provides, and in partnership with DQ Labs. And you can see there, I'm getting my shadow error page. I'm spinning up a Chromium service there, and then I'm getting my violations. So let's debug that here. And this is running on JUnit with Maven. I'm going to debug the test here. It's going to go and compile it in the background. It's going to spin up my Chromium browser. And this is the same that you're going to get when you access it on Azure DevOps. I'm going to look at my violations. So result there, and you'll see there that the, let's go list violations, let's go there. The violations say ensure the list items are structured correctly. That's exactly what the Chrome plugin did. Now, let's let that run. Now, if I go back into my Azure DevOps, you can see there that I've got all of my items there that have already run, and that's the project that we just did. So it's very easy to create a pipeline around your in DevOps environment. You just go to pipelines there, go into new pipeline, specify your Maven project that we had there. So I've got it on GitHub, and then yeah, let's just continue with that. Authorize. So yeah, so I've got a new pipeline here. I can specify Maven, and this is just a let's go X Maven, there we go, X Maven pipelines. Configure your pipeline, so that's fine. It picks up its Maven, it creates the YAML for me, save and run. And I've got my DevOps pipeline, and it can test pages both locally and also on the web. So now I can check and test and get views of when my issues happen before they happen. I can be proactive and stop that hydra from occurring. So let's go back into the next level of the demo, and I want to show you Immersive Reader. So one, I've got my DevOps, I've got my actually testing with accessibility insights. Now I've got Immersive Reader. So I popped a little button on the top there. It's running on a Tomcat service there on Immersive Reader, and it's going to read that text. It's going to take all the text, and it's also going to take in all the different languages there that you can see here. So I click on that text, and then creates an immersive experience for that text that I gave you there. And then I can actually play it right off here.
Immersive Reader is a tool that implements.
That's great, but I also, maybe I want to cater for neurodiverse. I can line focus, add picture dictionary, and I want this in French because it's a beautiful language. And I want to convert the document.
Met en œuvre des techniques éprouvées pour améliorer la compréhension de la lecture.
And I did that with a little bit of a button. Now, let's go look at the code for that. Let's go to Visual Studio Code. And we want to go into, let's find that window. There we go. And all I did there, Immersive Reader, JavaScript, I've got the text here that I showed you. And then I actually go and get a token and just launch the Immersive Reader in JavaScript. And then run it on Tomcat. And it's simple as that, because now I can bolt on if I had to, and I can't solve my problems. I give people the ability to actually use Immersive Reader. Now, the final demo that I want to do here is I actually want to show you, let's close all that windows there. I want to show you the caption bot. So this is the caption bot, and I find this absolutely hilarious because this is based on the NoCaps solution. So let's take that baseball player. To me, it's an American person holding a bat with a red helmet, and he's in a field of some sort. And that is way too much information. I click it, analyzing the image, and it's using the cognitive service in the background. And it says, analyze, I think it's a baseball player preparing to swing a bat. How did I do? You did brilliantly. And I watched this. I trained the AI. Let's try another one there. See if you can follow with me. That's a sandwich, a cheese and ham sandwich. It's got sesame seeds on it. It looks like it's in a kitchen of some sort. Let's see. I click on there, analyzing the image. I think it's a sandwich on a cutting board. Now you can take your millions of images for pennies a year and scan it over there. And this is the same also accessibility software that you get in Microsoft Word and PowerPoint when you actually want to create an alt image for that. So let's look at how you actually can add that into your project. I've got two real nice examples of that. I want to scan that image. So this is a scientist dude, two scientists, and that's Obama. And they're posing for a photo. I think that looks like an Apple iPhone, an old Apple iPhone, and then they're in an American legislative building. Okay, so that's the one picture I want to scan. The other one is I want to see if it can read text, the computer vision, and it's got a cutoff there. It's got some fuzziness there, and I need that text read, and I need the information gathered from that. So let's go back into our Visual Studio Code. Let's go find our project here. And let's go there, and I want to find my project. There's my computer vision. Now, these are all of the examples are available on the Microsoft GitHub repo. And I've got my path to remote image and authenticate with my subscription key. And then I pull out categories, faces, whether it has sensitive information, the color, and let me just go there, clear that. Let's run it now, computer vision. And you'll see here that it's the exact same as the caption bot. And it gives you such a wealth of imaging there that you can explain to screen reader software, to people who are visually impaired. Now, this is also very relevant for the silver generation, so people over the age of 65 with failing eyesight, because they're actually a $1 trillion industry that you can cater for. So I've got my results here. You can see there, it's giving me the Bill Nye, Neil deGrasse Tyson, Barack Obama are posing for a picture. And with a confidence level, that's actually 0.5 based, so it's really high. And that gives you all of the other confidence. So now I can go and really confidently go and alt image my tags, my images there with computer vision. I can add an immersive reader, and I can also add my DevOps processes there and use accessibility insights tooling and manually if I actually need to. So we got a few more minutes. I want to go through the last of the slides here. So in the demo, we showed you so much Let's look at a conclusion, and then we can also look at going forward and equip you with some really great resources. So we discussed empathy and how to pop that empathy bubble and use persona spectrums freely available on the web, and to play those persona labs and to become part of those clients, and then solve for one, extend to many. So solve for one persona spectrum and then extend it to cater for so many other scenarios, and then ideally have innovation. And we saw how to innovate also with shift left, because we then took everything in the DevOps, we scanned it, we popped it in our DevOps pipeline. I created a pipeline in the demo actually, and then we used accessibility insights to also look at some pages. And then finally automate an AI. So we popped it into DevOps. Now you can automate it with AI also, and we created an Immersive Reader object there, and then computer vision to be able to really narrate the world around you. Now, let's equip you. https://microsoft.com/accessibility. Let's go to that website there. So let's go to Chrome. Let me show you the wealth of information that you can get here. So let's go to Microsoft.com. Now, Microsoft.com is actually being scanned every couple of minutes with that X engine. So when you go in here, we actually run the accessibility insights on that engine on this page. And you can see here there's a portal for vision, hearing, neurodiversity, learning, mobility, mental health, Windows 10, Microsoft, all the different products, accessibility insights, AI for accessibility. There's also a learning webinar series that you can sign up. And there's so much wealth of information. But with the innovation, I want to show you something called Seeing AI. So Seeing AI uses let's go Seeing AI, there we go. So Seeing AI takes the computer vision, it takes a lot of our services here, and Seeing AI is unique because it actually runs on an iPhone, and it narrates the world around you, short text, documents, products, persons, scene, currency, light, color, handwriting. It can even do scene demos. So you can scan it on a scene there, and it'll say, I think it's a woman holding a Frisbee. That really is innovation, because it really allows you to go to the next level. You can
take picture. Processing. Probably a box filled with different types of food on a table.
We're living in a digital disruption world. And in this world, no one and everyone should be able to broaden their world and use your services and technologies. Thank you so much for being part of this journey with me. Thank you also to our sponsors, ScriptRunner, Global Data Quality, Microsoft, Proxima, Red Spy, Alesis, and Hitachi. Thank you, everyone. You can follow and hashtag Scottish Summit 2021. Follow me at Rory Preddy, and I look forward to seeing you and hearing your accessibility stories. Thanks, everyone.